Here at Chrysler Motors Automotive Operations, research has been proceeding to develop a line of heavy-duty transmissions that establishes new standards for reliability, durability, and quality. With customer needs as our primary focus, work is proceeding on the crudely conceived idea of an instrument that would not only supply inverse reactive current for use in unilateral phase detractors, but would also be capable of automatically synchronizing cardinal gram meters. Such an instrument is the Turbo Encabulator. Now, basically, the only new principle involved is that instead of power being generated by the relative motion of conductors and fluxes, it's produced by the modal interaction of magneto-reluctance and capacitive duractance. The original machine had a base plate of prefamulated amulite surmounted by a malleable logarithmic casing in such a way that the two spurving bearings were in a direct line with a panometric fam. The latter consisted simply of 6 hydrocoptic Marsal vanes so fitted to the ambifacient lunar wane shaft that side fumbling was effectively prevented. The main winding was of the normal Lotus O delta type, placed in panendermic semi-boloid slots of the stator, every 7th conductor being connected by a non-reversible tremie pipe to the differential girdle spring on the up end of the gram meters. The Turbo Encabulator has now reached a high level of development, and it's being successfully used in the operation of Nofer-Trunnions. Moreover, whenever a fluorescent score motion is required, it may also be employed in conjunction with a drawn reciprocation dingle arm to reduce sinusoidal depleneration. Thank you.
Thanks, Bud. Now that we know how the Turbo Encabulator works, let's take a closer look at its diagnosis and service. For the purposes of obscurity, we have removed the casing to expose the heart of the Turbo Encabulator, the magneto-reluctance modal interactor. Since little or nothing is known about the principles involved in magneto-reluctance, diagnosing faults can be a problem. Connect a DRB2 to the aft end of the MOXIE interrupter using special adapter WUPD2, making sure the osmolality of the phase detractors is not extrapolated. Begin the test by selecting model year, transmission systems, and Turbo Encabulator run test. If there are any system faults, they will be displayed in secret code on the DRB2 display. It's a simple head code. Anyone can catch it. The most common fault is sigmoid rumbling below the belt line, which the customer will refer to as a burping or even a hiccuping noise. To service this fault, refer to the Turbo Encabulator Diagnostic Procedures Manual and Songbook and perform test TE10. Using the Geiger scale on the DRB2, measure the wrench-in output of the capacitive reactance flux muster. If it is above 10 RGs, replace the unit. If it is below 10 RGs, you will be directed to perform a series of tests that will effectively raise the billable hours for the service department, but will perform no other useful function. All other faults should be treated as if they do not exist, and the customer should be told that the burping or hiccuping is normal and is caused by too much gas in the fuel system. Well, that's about it for this month's Master Tech. Be sure to watch next month when we'll cover ashtray and cigarette lighter operation, diagnosis, and repair. See you then.
Our word for today is women. Like they say in the ads, they've come a long, long way. Used to be that women were seen and not heard very much. Come to think of it, they weren't seen much either. They were passengers mostly, seldom drivers, and rarely buyers of automobiles. But after women got the vote, they also got the idea that they could make some decisions for themselves. They decided to assert some independence. Some even went to work. Most, however, continued to fulfill the traditional roles of wife and mother. World War II changed a lot of things. By the time it ended, women had become far more independent. Families started moving to the suburbs. Girls entered college in larger numbers and left them to pursue marriage for the most part. It was the beginning of the baby boom, and the second car became a reality. In the 50s and 60s, the lid came off. Women felt more confident. They were better educated. They began to make more money as more jobs opened for them. Some even began to question their traditional status. They became alert consumers and started to influence major buying decisions, such as the purchase of a new car. Some even bought their own. Here we are in the 70s, and who knows where it's going to end. Women are asserting themselves as never before, not just the bra burners, but the smart, sharp, affluent society of women has done a full 180. They know where their place is, all right. Right next to us, as equals. God bless them. It's time we recognize them for what they are, new car prospects. You know, it's true. Social scientists say that the differences between men and women are disappearing. There's a gradual blurring of the sexes, with more emphasis on individuality. Just take a look around you. Today, except for obvious physical differences, there are more similarities than dissimilarities. Our attitudes and tastes and interests seem to be merging. Women have new roles, more freedom, more mobility. They participate more in male activities, such as sports and clubs. They're wearing more masculine clothes, less frills. They go for the natural look in cosmetics. Men, too, have new roles these days. We're more conscious of our self-image today, and we express ourselves through our clothes, hairstyles, body fragrances, choice of colors, and many other ways. Today, men and women both are interested in such automotive factors as exterior design and color, interior appointments, fabric texture, color, and design. Did you ever think you'd see the day when men could get excited about crushed velours for their cars in red? Now, with more women working, the trend toward multiple cars, the increase in ownership and use of cars by women, they have a lot more to say about what's bought. That no longer applies just to the interior and color. It's true of the size, make, model, options, and accessories, as well as the actual decision to buy. Okay, as a salesman, you have every right to ask what Chrysler Corporation is doing to keep pace with these trends. How are they appealing to the women's market? Fair enough. Let's start with this, the Women on Wheels program. Now in its third year, Women on Wheels already has reached over 50,000 gals of every size, creed, color, and age. It was designed to uncomplicate the cars for women while teaching them simple repairs, and it's working. So is our constant attempt to improve the appearance of our dealerships, their color, cleanliness, and comfort, both up front and in the back shop. Our products are right on target, especially the compacts, which have creamed the women's market. We've added thick carpeting and crushed velours, plus special decorator interiors as in the spring specials. Our advertising has been featuring women more, not just as foils for the guys, but as independent free spirits. And there's a whole lot more to come in the very near future. Just you wait and see. We've learned a lot about women in recent years, and now it's your turn. You'd be surprised how many salesmen turn women prospects off completely through insult, innuendo, or just not using their heads. They make the mistake of lumping all women into a single category. Dumb. They prospect and qualify males as individuals, but not females. Well, I'm here to tell you that there's absolutely no difference, male or female. Not much, anyway. If you prospect properly, you will find that women of the same economic level as men, the same educational level, the same social level, are exactly the same types of prospects. Sure, we use words which may be slightly different. Not all colors are fully accepted by both sexes. But if they want to look under the hood, you talk engines and transmissions. If they run their hands over the upholstery, you talk about interiors. Sex makes no difference whatsoever. What's important here is that you learn how the car is going to be used. If she's buying it independently, she will look for one to suit her specific purposes.
I'm a widow, you know, and I spend a lot of time visiting my children. I always drive, but they live so far away, and trips take a lot out of me.
Amazing what you can learn by listening. You might have been tempted to suggest an inexpensive compact to the lady. But what she needs is a full-size car with comfort and convenience options. She can afford it, too. Let me tell you something. It isn't the meek who are going to inherit the earth. It's the women. Inheritance laws today are all in their favor. Plus, they outlive men by at least 7 years from birth. Don't be bashful about big tickets with an older woman. Chances are she's got it in the bank. With this one, it's a little different. She's the typical suburban housewife. Or is she? I really think it's best to eliminate the word typical from our vocabulary when we're talking about women.
I do enjoy our home, and it's great for the kids, but they can't get anywhere without being driven. Where would we be without carpools?
Okay, maybe you're ahead of me, but the point is, you're not going to try and sell her a station wagon because she's a suburban housewife. No, you're going to sell her on the basis of her needs and wants, same as if she were a male prospect. Incidentally, if she has kids in Little League baseball or out for football, don't miss the opportunity to try to get her into a compact wagon. She could be very grateful. 40% of American wives are now employed outside the home, compared to only 24% in 1950. And the numbers are growing. Their needs are different.
This would really be our second car, so my primary interest is economy. I want something that doesn't cost too much to buy or to keep up. My husband says I can pick what I want, but after all, I'm paying for it out of my own salary.
Fine. She's a candidate for a compact because it suits her needs. Just give her credit for her intelligence and a sincere desire to buy. That's the secret of selling to women, same as anybody else. Generally speaking, it's true that men are still a little more sports car oriented, while women are more impressed with functional details. Men seem to respond more to product features, while women really want to know about the benefits, but not always. A lot depends on age, status, economic and social conditions, even the environment.
Daddy can afford to buy me a big car for graduation, but I think we should all do what we can to ease the energy crisis. Still, I want something super sharp to show off for all the other kids.
See what I mean? Super sharp, but no strain on the gasoline supply. You'd be wrong if you went for a compact on this one. She wants a deluxe intermediate with a 318 and all the options with pizzazz. That'll show 'em. You know, it used to be said, pity the single woman, but no more. She may be single by choice or by accident, a divorcee or not the marrying kind. But whatever she is, she has no reluctance to express herself as an individual. She is self-supporting, and with the liberalization of credit, she can buy what she wants when she wants it.
I do have a boyfriend, though I loathe to admit it. We often go places together, splitting the check, of course, but it's always in his car. I don't need a lot of room in mine, but it's got to say me. Everything about it has to shout to the world that it belongs to me and no one else.
Okay, here's your chance. Sell her the top-of-the-line compact and let her have a ball, making it as personal as she can. Join in the fun and help her express her identity. She might even get to like you as a person. You know, there are a lot of things we can do to stay in closer touch with the women's market. Try looking at your wife's or girlfriend's copy of Cosmopolitan magazine or McCall's. Find out what they're saying to each other and about us. Better yet, ask them. Make your own survey. Find out what they think is important about cars and how they prefer to be sold. Bet you a bundle your gal says she wants to be respected for what she is, an intelligent, educated person. When she's in a buying mood, she wants to be talked to like a customer, not a woman. Men, sex isn't everything. It's...
public library to try to make sense out of all the madness. The place was boarded up, shut down, so I broke in and borrowed some newspapers.
I don't get it, Doc. I mean, how can all this be happening? It's like we're in hell or something.
No, it's Hill Valley, although I can't imagine hell being much worse. Oh, Annie. I'm sorry, boy. The lab is an awful, 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 awful mess. Attaboy. Obviously, the time continuum has been disrupted, creating this new temporal event sequence resulting in this alternate reality.
English, Doc.
Here. Let me illustrate. Imagine that this line represents time. Here's the present, 1985, the future, and the past. Prior to this point in time, somewhere in the past, the timeline skewed into this tangent, creating an alternate 1985. Alternate to you, me, and Einstein, but reality for everyone else. Recognize this? It's the bag the sports book came in. I know, because the receipt was still inside. I found them in the time machine, along with this.
It's the top of Biff's cane. I mean, old Biff from the future.
Correct. It was in the time machine because Biff was in the time machine with the sports almanac.
Holy shit.
You see, while we were in the future, Biff got the sports book, stole the time machine, went back in time, and gave the book to himself at some point in the past. Look. It says right here that Biff made his first million betting on a horse race in 1958. He wasn't just lucky, he knew, because he had all the race results in the sports almanac. That's how he made his entire fortune. Look in his pocket with a magnifying glass.
The almanac. Stole my idea. He must have been listening when I... It's my fault. The whole thing is my fault. If I hadn't bought that damn book, none of this would have ever happened.
No, that's all in the past.
You mean the future?
Whatever. It demonstrates precisely how time travel can be misused and why the time machine must be destroyed. After we straighten all of this out.
Right, so we go back to the future and we stop Biff from stealing the time machine.
We can't, because if we travel into the future from this point in time, it will be the future of this reality in which Biff is corrupt and powerful and married to your mother and in which this has happened to me. No. Our only chance to repair the present is in the past, at the point where the timeline skewed into this tangent. In order to put the universe back as we remember it and get back to our reality, we have to find out the exact date and the specific circumstances of how, where, and when young Biff got his hands on that sports almanac.
I'll ask him.
Light, here comes.
This is Enterprise. Admiral Kirk calling. Captain Estefano, Lieutenant 7. Please come in.
Report status. We are cloaked. Enemy closing on impulse power range 5,000 kilograms.
Good. It's just a turn of luck I have been waiting for.
Nothing on my scanner, sir.
Short-range scan, Mr. Chekhov. Put it on visual, Mr. Sulu.
Range 3,000 kilograms.
Steady. Continue on impulse power.
Range 2,000 kilograms.
Stand by to transfer energy to weapons. At my command.
There. That distortion, see it?
Yes, sir. It's getting larger as we close in.
Firing range, sir. Ahwe. Doshi-bosh. Nech. Hata. Yazju. Da.
Opinion, Mr. Sulu.
I think it's an energy surge.
Enough energy to hide a ship, would you say?
A cloaking device.
Red alert, Mr. Scott.
There you come.
1,000 kilograms closing.
All power to the weapon systems.
Aye, sir. Wage. No shields?
My guess is right. They'll have to decloak before they can fire.
May all your guesses be right. Van Valk Helicom. Die Rush. So up.
Klingon bird appraiser. She's arming torpedoes.
Fire, Mr. Scott. Good shooting, Mr. Scott. Precautionary, Mr. Chekhov. Shields up.
Aye, sir.
Tesla Motors engineers made a stunning design choice when they developed the Tesla Model 3. They abandoned the conventionally used and well-proven induction motors and replaced them with a new kind of motor, the IPM Syn RM. These motors have a totally different design, making use of both magnetic and reluctance action. The big news is that tests explored. To get a clear answer, we first need to understand the Model S's electric motor, which is an induction motor. Clearly, as you can see, the rotating part here is an arrangement of conducting bars.
Prepare to return fire.
Alternating currents from the battery packs flow into the motor's outer windings. This will create a rotating magnetic field. The fluctuating field interacts with the rotor bars and generates electromotive forces on them, which in turn generates currents in the rotor bars. The interaction between these induced currents and the RMF imposes force on the rotor bars, and the rotor starts to spin.
Ready to fire emergency tube.
These motors are efficient, but not up to the mark. For instance, long drives at cruise speed lose 3% to 4% of energy to generate currents in the rotor bars, which is definitely not efficient. Moreover, for an automobile, the most crucial performance parameter, RMF, imposes force on the rotor bars, and the rotor starts to spin. These motors are efficient, but not up to the mark. For instance, long drives at cruise speed lose 3% to 4% of energy to generate currents in the rotor bars, which is definitely not efficient. Moreover, for an automobile, the most crucial performance parameter, RMF, imposes force on the rotor bars, and the rotor starts to spin. These motors are efficient, but not up to the mark. For instance, long drives at cruise speed lose 3% to 4% of energy to generate currents in the rotor bars, which is definitely not efficient. Moreover, for an automobile, the most crucial performance parameter imposes force on the rotor bars, and the rotor starts to spin. These motors are efficient, but not up to the mark. For instance, long drives at cruise speed lose 3% to 4% of energy to generate currents in the rotor bars, which is definitely not efficient. Moreover, for The PM motors work on the basis of the attraction between two magnetic fields. They produce a good starting torque when you operate them using a controller, and they do not experience energy loss in the rotor. An efficient permanent magnet cancels the permanent magnet field. This way, even at high speeds, such motors won't produce much back EMF. At this stage, the torque production will mostly come from the reluctance effect.